Good afternoon, Art.
Hello, Joni. How are you?
I made it through Monday, so it's all good.
It's always a good thing when we make it through Monday, right?
I know.
Hey, so maybe you could just tell some of our members your role over at Relyco.
Sure. I am a long-term employee at Relyco. I had my 18-year anniversary in January.
Congrats.
My current role is I am the OEM Market Development Manager. And what that means is that I work on developing and executing a strategy for how we collaborate with our OEM partners. And at Relyco, when I say OEM partner, I'm meaning the printer manufacturers such as, as an example, Ricoh or Konica Minolta, Xerox, Canon, although it could be, other printing manufacturers as well as the dealer network. So my main purpose is to work with them, and I do it on almost a two-pronged approach. Top down, we work on getting media approvals and collaborating on press releases and basically just announcing that we have media that is supported by the various engines. And then from a grassroots up perspective, I work with the production print people or the dealers, the sales reps, whoever the case may be. And when they're working on an opportunity to sell their equipment to a new prospect, I work with them on the media side so that we can provide them with an application solution that will meet their needs from both the printer perspective as well as the final product and what it's supposed to do.
Right. So when you talk about Relyco is the outfit that can supply all of us reps with some really cool different types of substrates that can help us move some more production gear, correct?
Exactly. And when we say specialty media, we're not talking commodity items like, if somebody, and we get these calls, somebody will call and say, well, I want a skid of 70 pound Finch. And that's just not the space that we're in. For us, specialty media are unique substrates, things like synthetics, laser printable plastics, pressure seal for one-piece mailers, carbonless forms, anything that's a little out of the mainstream of traditional paper products.
Cool. So how so so everybody knows, how did Relyco get started?
Well, Relyco has been in business since 1989, and our founder, Mike Steinberg, wanted to start a company offering financial documents. And he was very specific that he wanted to create an organization that would treat customers the way he wanted to be treated as a customer, and hence the name. We are the company that you can rely on. So when we first began, we were primarily a financial document provider, things like check stock, envelopes, microtoner, microprinters. As the 21 Act evolved, we began offering things like IRDs, which some people will know as substitute checks. But as printers became more sophisticated and better able to handle different kinds of media, we kept in pace with that. And from that, our OEM program was born. I'd also like to mention that in addition to my OEM role, my responsibilities, since you and I last spoke, my responsibilities have increased a little bit. We are going to be launching a line of inkjet products, beginning with wide format. And I have accepted the responsibility to be the product manager for that. That's not something that I just don't have a lot of information yet. I would say we're 30, 45 days away from that, but that is something that we're going to be expanding our reach within our OEM partners in terms of not just being a toner-based media company, but also inkjet.
Nice. That
Yeah,
should
we're
be
very excited.
pretty interesting. So one of the things that maybe you can tell our peeps more about is you have a referral program, and I
We do.
think that
We
may
do.
help a lot of us out.
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of customers, and I'm going to use a dealer as an example. a dealer may want to refer their customer to us for the specialty media, but they don't want to be involved in the resale. They don't want to carry the inventory, the receivables. And for them, our referral program is a perfect fit, because what happens is that when a dealer refers a customer to us, they would refer this customer to me. I would assign them to a sales rep based on either vertical market or application expertise. And whoever I assign will work with this prospect all the way through understanding their product, their project, the application, really get into the nuts and bolts of it. And then ultimately offering and selling them a product that will meet their application requirements. And then from that, we have a referral commission program that's paid out quarterly. So for those people and we have a very large network of people that do this, for those people that refer customers to us, we will quarterly reward them, thank them with a commission check based on the total amount of the order. It is something that we will do for a period of a year. So if the customer continues to reorder, it's residual. And we have customers that really have a very nice network of referrals because they're very active with us. I think the important part is, that obviously the referral commission is nice. It's a way for us to say thank you, and it's a way for them to gain a little financially in referring a customer to us. But I think that the important thing is that the customers that you refer to us, we feel that you're trusting them with us. And our ability to connect with them is that we try to make it a one-stop shop so that somebody has the same person all the way through the project, and someone who is very invested in understanding what they're trying to do within their business so that we can offer the best solution. And that creates an overall better customer experience, which reflects on the OEMs as well as on Relyco.
Right. Now, a question on that referral program that goes on just for a period of 1 year.
Well, it's 1 year per customer. So if you referred a customer to me and they ordered in June,
right?
Anytime they ordered for 1 year, they would continue to receive referral commission for those orders.
Got it. Got it. And then not only dealerships can take part, reps can take part in that also?
Yep, absolutely. If it's an individual, and we do have a lot of individuals that work in our network, we would just require them to fill out a form, because it is, depending on the state requirements or what have you,
right,
there is taxable income involved. But once the form is filled out, what we do is we will process checks on a quarterly basis,
right,
obviously on paid invoices. And if it's under a certain dollar amount, we don't necessarily cut a check, but we don't eliminate it. We just re-roll it until it accumulates to like over, say, $25.
okay.
And we have some people that get substantially large checks, and we have people that get small checks, and everything in between. It's been a very long and lucrative program for our company.
Yeah, I like the substantially larger checks myself.
Don't we all?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Well, that's a cool program. So, excuse me. A lot of us are familiar with paper companies. Excuse me. I'm sorry. What's the biggest difference between Relyco and my local paper company, where I can get my 1117 paper, 12 by 18 paper?
Yep, that's a great question. The big differentiator in terms of product is that, like I had mentioned, we're specialty media. So if you're just looking for plain 1117 paper, if you really truly don't have a source for it, I can make some suggestions, but it's not something that we carry. It's a commodity product, and we're more specialized.
Right.
So if somebody is looking for something that's unique, like a metallic or a synthetic, or even laser carbonless for multi-part forms, that's the space that we're in. And in terms of product comparison, if you will, that's what differentiates us from a more traditional paper merchant. But what really differentiates us, I believe, is our solutions and our application expertise. Our reps take a lot of time to get to know a company and the prospect, get to know the business model. We try to find out what they're trying to use the product for, and how that product is then used throughout the life cycle of the company. I'll use an integrated label as an example. You may have a printing department in a university that's using an integrated label, and we're going to try to understand what it's being used for, how they're printing it, and what happens to it after it leaves that department. And it's that kind of in-depth interest is what really solidifies our relationship and differentiates us, because we want to make sure that we're providing not just a product, but a solution.
Understood. Interesting. I guess that gets everybody a little bit deeper and wider with the client also.
It should. I mean, and and it's funny too, because sometimes we often joke, because sometimes people will be like, "You have more questions for me?" But it's truly coming from the perspective of, we want to make sure that we understand what the product is going to be used for,
Right.
because it may not be a stock product, or maybe it's a custom product,
Right.
or maybe it's a hybrid, a combination of two different things. And understanding its purpose is it allows us to make sure that we're making the best recommendation for media.
Got it. So for different media and substrates, does Relyco also carry labels?
We do. We
Yeah.
do. We have labels from the traditional paper labels, as well as synthetic labels, which are waterproof and tearproof.
Right.
We also have label stock that meets a very specific specification. It's referred to as the BS, British Standard 5609, and that governs labels that are used in some very high tolerance environments, whether
Okay.
it's freezing or immersion in seawater, things like that.
Got it.
We can do custom sizes, although a custom size would be a
Okay.
one-time tooling charge. We have literally hundreds of stock dies, so we can usually accommodate them with something, if not exact, something fairly close.
Nice.
And the nice thing about that is that, we can do very large runs, but we can also accommodate customers that are just looking for something smaller. And that's, that allows people to also to try us out without making a huge investment.
Right. And how about checks and envelopes?
We have a full line of checks. We have been involved for as long as I've been with Relyco. We have been involved for a number of years with the ANSI committee, the X9AB committee specifically, and that governs the specifications with respect to check stock. So we have a full line of check stock in both what we would call cut sheet, which is just a regular sheet that would go into an envelope, as well as pressure seal. And pressure seal is a one-piece mailer. If you've ever gotten anything in the mail where you have to tear off the sides and it's an all encompassed mailing piece without an envelope, that's pressure seal. We have that as well in check stock. And we also have checks that meet the current standard for the Canadian Payment Association, so they're Canadian compliant.
Okay. Yeah, that pressure seal can be it can actually be not a lot of clients are aware what you can do with pressure seal. I mean, they'll receive the checks in the mail and they'll tear them open, but a lot of them just don't realize that they can go out there and they can purchase that, and they can actually develop print that will go on that, and basically, just get a complete run of documents all ready to go out into the mail.
Mm-hmm. And it's used for more than just checks. You can almost pick your vertical market, and we can come up with an application story for pressure seal, because it's used for direct mail. It's very common in direct mail.
Right.
It's also used in healthcare for things like appointment reminders or grade reports in schools, or statements, AP statements, things of that nature. Pressure seal in the industry typically has a higher open rate than a paper and envelope direct mail piece, because people know that it could be a check and they're not going to just throw it away without opening it. And state of Maine, for example, uses their automobile registrations on pressure seal.
Right.
I want to say it's Ohio. They do jury notification because they know that people are going to open it. And it is a very secure solution. I mean, it's very common for PIN mailers for credit cards.
Right. True. So I understand Relyco has a pretty large range of products. But I know you spoke about inkjet earlier, but is there anything new and exciting on tap?
Well, I think on the toner-based side, I think the newest product would be our metallics. We have a silver and gold and a text weight as well as a board weight.
Oh, hold on one sec. What's the difference between text weight and board weight?
Rigidity for the most part, and whether or not in compatibility with the printer. So the text weight is going to be like stationary, like a 24-pound paper.
Okay.
Whereas the board is going to be, I'm going to say probably like a 12 point. So it will be, it certainly will be fine in a production engine, and it's got approvals in a lot of production engines, but somebody running a very small tabletop printer is not going to be able to run something that's 12 point through it. It just, the quality, the ink quality just won't be there because it's too thick for the machine to successfully print.
So if I'm a rep and I'm out in the field and I've got a client, I'm just going to pick out anything right now that's interested in, I think Konica Minolta has the Curio press brand. I could call Relyco and you guys could actually give me a list of different types of substrates that are approved to run through that device.
We can. And again, since you brought up Konica, I'll use them as the example. Right. What Konica does is they publish what's called a throughput guide for each of their engines.
Right.
And if you look at the throughput guide, that too will tell you exactly what media is approved. For example, with the one of the newer Curio presses, the 14,000, we actually have our synthetic approved in a 13.7 mil, which is very, very rigid. And there's only a couple of production printers out there that can run 13.7 or that are approved to run 13.7. Because even though the GSM, the grams per square meter, which is another way to measure the weight and the density of paper,
right,
even though the GSM is over the tolerance of what the machine is expected to be able to perform, they were able to get it to run, and they've approved it under their overweight program. So that's something that's pretty big.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So you spoke about metallics. Can you maybe tell me a little bit more about metallics?
Well, the metallics, we have silver and gold, and it's, it is not something that requires a printer with white toner. But for example, if you had a printer with a fifth station for white toner, or if you were using the Color Logic program, the metallics, utilizing those programs with the combination of a shiny gold or a shiny silver piece of media is a great way to make like an eye-catching display. I had someone reach out to me, excuse me, I had someone reach out to me from a university last week, and they want to use the metallics for a postcard. And I've seen them, in that kind of application, or a menu, or even just signage, packaging.
Right. Interesting. So the metallics, I guess if it's just a 4-color, maybe not so good, but really designed for 5th color.
No, not at all. I mean, I've seen it with just regular CMYK printing, or even just black. Okay. And it looks nice, but a way to embellish it would be to utilize things with a white toner or a Color Logic, but right, you really don't need any of that specialized product to make the metallics look good. The metallics in of itself tend to really capture the ink and just really make it pop, which looks really good, really, really nice.
Okay, so you mentioned Color Logic, and I've seen quite a few press releases for them lately. What is it? Is it software? Is it a RIP? I mean, what do they do that's so special?
They basically, what they do is they partner with OEMs, and I honestly, my recommendation is that you get them on one of these calls, because I think your viewers would find it highly interesting. But they offer a solution that if you purchase it in conjunction with a production printer, it gives you the opportunity to do a variety of different colors and embellishments without necessarily having those colors on board the printer. So it's just a way to really make your graphics really, really pop.
Right. It sounds sounds pretty interesting. Um, so with the and I know you probably can't tell me much about the inkjet. Is the inkjet going to be geared more towards the wide format? Is it going to be geared more towards, is it going to be roll? Is it going to be flatbed?
All of the above.
Okay,
Wide format to start with, for sure.
right.
And we're finalizing that now. We've, obviously some of our OEM partners have aqueous, some have wide format printers that are UV. So the goal is to be able to offer a common subset of products that will meet the particular inkjet engine's requirement for ink. Um, Rolls. There are I mean, there are inkjet printers out there now that, that are rolls. I mean, I'll use Konica again as the example. They've got one that I believe it's a memjet roll printer. We have material and have had material that will work in that. We've always been able to accommodate customers. What we're trying to do is be very specific in identifying which products we're going to start with and being a stocking company of those rather than saying, yes, we can produce this for you, but there's a lead time, as opposed to, yes, we've got this in our warehouse and we can ship it in 24 hours. So
Okay,
that's the initial goal. I would say that moving ahead, as more and more of our printer partners are working on different kinds of printers. I know, for example, Canon has one that they have a continuous one. They have a roll, they have a sheet fed. So we're looking at ways that we can partner with our OEM friends to provide those products, but it's early days yet. And it's not a question of not being able to tell you. It's just things that we're really discussing, and we're trying to do this in a way that is thoughtful and efficient in rolling these products out.
okay. Does Relyco provide um, like a substrate kit or a media kit for
Mhm.
salespeople? For
We do. We
okay,
do. We have a small sample kit that we're happy to send out. We recommend that salespeople use them as ways to generate different kinds of conversations. It will be printed samples of our main categories of product, so that people will use it as talk tracks. I do a lot of webinars for the different printer companies, and one of the things that I always try to stress if I'm talking to like a production print specialist or something of that nature is that in your discovery call, this is a great way to use this sample pack as a great way to not only have the conversation about speed and feed and footprint and lease, time of lease and how much a lease is going to cost, but really get into the nuts and bolts of why are you considering this equipment, and showing them real life examples of ways that companies are utilizing media so that they can bring more printing in house, not only justify the cost of the investment in the production printer, but also get a better return on investment because now they're able to use it across the enterprise.
yep, grow their investment, show them, give them other opportunities to add additional profit.
Exactly. Mhm.
Yep, I agree wholeheartedly. So with Relyco, um, you guys are located in New Hampshire, I believe, correct?
Yes, our corporate office is in New Hampshire. We
Oh,
don't do any manufacturing in New Hampshire. We have warehouses in several locations, east to west coast,
right,
based on, we have, for example, our cut sheet checks are warehoused in Maine. We have a very large warehouse in New Jersey. We have one in Utah. We have one in Texas, California, Tennessee. So we have warehouses all over the place. And what we do with the warehouses is that basically we partner with them so that they provide us with warehouse and distribution. We don't physically own the warehouses, but it's nice because we're mindful that freight costs are something that they're a challenge to all businesses and they fluctuate. So if we can have product in multiple locations, we make every effort to ship from the location that's closest to the customer. Tax forms would be a great example for that. We have a full line of tax forms. We do a huge amount of business in tax forms. I mean, obviously, any company that has either an employee or a contractual employee is going to need a tax form. And we have warehouses and locations in different parts of the country to accommodate that as well.
Okay, nice. So if a sales person or a dealership, let's say they've scheduled a demonstration, could they actually schedule maybe during the demonstration a 5-minute chat, uh, video chat with Relyco?
Oh, absolutely. My job as the market manager, my job is to think of me as a traffic cop. So let's just say, Art, you had a company that you were going to be doing a demonstration, excuse me, or meeting for a discovery call. You would let me know, and what I would do is I would assign a sales rep for your customer or your prospect. And they would get right on the call, and they could talk about the products, they could talk about the application, whatever the circumstances or the direction of the call warranted. Because I'm doing more strategy right now, I'm not actually working with customers any longer, but I'm the person who assigns them, and I assign them based on either a product expertise or a vertical market knowledge that will be particularly beneficial. So the short answer is yes, we do Zoom calls all day long.
I think that could go a long way with a demonstration, especially if you know that they have a need for all these different types of substrates.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And I think one of the changes that we've made in the last, say, 6 months is that rather than have someone like me try to qualify it and then hand it off to a sales rep, one of the reasons that I'm assigning it internally right away is because I want your customers to only have to tell their story once, and to have the same person all the way through the process, so that they understand that all they need to do is call Susan, and Susan's going to take care of them. And that's been really something that we've tried and has been particularly resonating with our customers. They really like just having that one point of contact.
Right. So I'm going to go back a few questions, and I think it was the first or second question where you said you actually want to get more, Relyco wants to get more involved in that substrate, what happens with the substrate, what's printed on the substrate, and where that substrate goes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if a client had, let's say, for example, you know everything about the process. However, that substrate just wasn't going to cut it for the client.
Mm-hmm.
Would Relyco do some bird dogging to try and find the right substrate if it was a
Sure.
big enough opportunity?
Sure. I mean, our goal is to try and satisfy their experience with us. It doesn't necessarily have to be a huge opportunity for us to go bird dogging. It's funny, the customer that we always wish we got earlier is the one that went out and tried to find media on their own and didn't understand things like thickness or compatibility with a particular engine type, and invariably get the wrong stuff, and trying to clean that up is not as successful as trying to take the extra time and figure out what they want up front and making sure that they're happy with it. It makes everybody's life a whole lot easier.
Right.
And it's not always a stock product. I mean, sometimes we end up going custom, and it may be that what they're looking for wasn't exactly what was needed.
Right.
I'll tell you a really quick story. This goes back about 10 years ago. We had an organization come to us, and they were looking for what they referred to as a bag tag, and it was used in a very large marathon. And what they wanted was the tag to have removable or repositional, I guess is a better word, adhesive. And it was designed so that they would print it with all of the runner's information. And when the runner was getting ready to go on the starting line, they would put their wallet and their keys or what have you in this bag. And on the label, it matched up to all the information on their running bib. And then it would be stored. But they wanted the label to be able to be opened and reclosed in case somebody, forgot that their wallet was in the back pocket of their running pants,
Right.
so that they could reuse it. And so we ended up creating a custom solution for that, which evolved over the years into a form that had the tag that went on their clothing bag, a card that gave them access to the tent for a free lunch, free carb loading
Right.
before, or refreshments after the race. Gave them information about where their starting point was and what their start time was. So what we did was we created a multi-use form that our customers then printed all of the information specific to the thousands and thousands of people that were participating in the marathon.
Interesting. And it's funny that you bring up the marathon, because I just heard notification today that the New York City Marathon is going to be back on in November.
I can believe it. We're seeing, and I'm sure you're seeing it, and some of the people that are watching see it too. But we're seeing more and more things really begin to ramp up now in terms of opening. I think the travel and tourism industry, for example, we have ID cards that are perf cards that are on an 8.5 by 11 sheet, so that a travel agency or a hotel or an airline or whatever you want to use, a cruise company, could print out information for people that are booking their vacations. And I like to make the joke that the closer that we get to being fully vaccinated, the United States is going to be like a barren wasteland because everybody's going to go. But those kinds of industries are certainly going to see a well-deserved uptick in business. And that's a great way to talk about getting your equipment in there and getting media in there. Are you starting back up? What are you doing now 14, 15 months beyond when we all went home? What's your open plan? How are you going to be doing your business?
Right.
And those are all great ways to start having those conversations.
Yep. Well, some have been saying, and that 2021 will be the start of the Roaring 20s again. There's just so pent up demand to do so much and go so many places.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we can all hope that that's going to come to fruition for us.
Oh, I think so. I mean, restaurants used to use our synthetics for menus, and a lot of them stopped during the height of the pandemic because they didn't want anything that could be reused. Now you can wipe down a synthetic menu with a cleaner, and it will meet CDC guidelines, but a lot of people went to paper menus, because they could throw them away. Well, now we're seeing more of an uptick in that, and things like, table tents, and certainly schools are, they're doing signage. Hospitals are doing a lot of signage, whether it's for distancing or just informational signage. So we're seeing more and more of those kinds of traditional products that we've always sold quite a bit of. We're starting to see a real uptick as everybody emerges from from behind the mask, if you will.
So how can dealers or salespeople find Relyco?
Well, our website is www.relyco.com. Relyco is spelled Relyco. The other thing that you can do is you can connect with me on LinkedIn, or you can email me directly. My email address is unfortunately a mouthful, so I'll try to take it slow. It's my first initial last name, so it's J, V as in Victor, A-N, G as in George, E-L, D as in David, E-R, J Van Gelder at Relyco.com. Send me your contact information and I'll be on the phone with you in as quickly as possible, and then we'll take it from there, whatever your specific inquiry is, or even if you just want to pick my brain a little more about something that you heard today that you want more information on, I'm more than happy to help.
Nice. And how about social media?
Social media, obviously, we're on LinkedIn. We're very active on our website. We have a Facebook page. You can go to, you can go to Relyco on Facebook.
Okay.
You can find us there. We have I would say reach out, go to our website, because if you go to our website, you can sign up for our newsletter. You can sign up for our blog posts. We have a terrific marketing department. Steph Asia does a lot of our marketing outreach, and she writes our newsletter, and it's very, very popular. It's got a lot of good information in there, and it's always good. I mean, it may not be today that you need it, but you may need it in the future. And I'm sure that you've probably talked to people, Art, where they're not quite ready now, but in 6 months, boy, are they ready. And we get that all the time.
It's absolutely correct. You never know what tomorrow's going to bring you.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, I really appreciate the time, and we're going to get this posted up tonight.
Okay.
And I'm sure everybody's going to enjoy it. And I hope to do another one of these hopefully next month with you.
Absolutely. I'm more than happy to help. Keep in touch with me, and just shoot me a note when it's up there, and we can share it on our side too, and we can give you a boost as well.
Sounds good. All right, Joni, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Enjoy your day.
You do the same. Thanks, Art.
All right, bye.